Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great award-winning show here in the great mega super awesome online universe. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is June 3rd, 2025. The year is almost halfway over, if you can believe it. It's unbelievable that we're already into June. I'm here in Ottawa, Ontario, and it is cool outside. It is not hot, and it is not a cloud in the sky, but you can barely see the sky because we have smoke from the various forest fires going on all over Canada, so it's keeping it cool here. What's not cool, ladies and gentlemen? Bitcoin pumping. Bitcoin pumping right up there, back up to 106,410 right now. A nice morning pump. Started off with a nice bull flag this morning, came up over the 200 period moving average and just went on a tear ever since, along with the NASDAQ, and just about everything else moved along with it. It was a good morning in trading land. Other good things going on. I know it's not a big deal for all of our viewers, but it is Technical Tuesday after all, ladies and gentlemen. And overnight, the Japanese bond market had a great auction, which is generally a precursor to U.S. auctions coming up. So Pedro's going to be, I'm betting, talking about bonds and that type of stuff. I'll be introducing him in a moment as he gets his camera situated and his morning exercises. Also, some news about how the rich get richer. You want to know how the rich get richer, ladies and gentlemen, or get more rich? They just go to dinner with Donald Trump. That's right. They made tons of money on their Trump coin, and everybody there got a Solana NFT airdrop to them, and they're now selling something they got for free at dinner, are now selling for $16,000 each. Amazing. Also, in the world of AI hacking, how about that? There's entire groups out there now that hack the various AIs out there and use their prompts against them to get them to do things they're not supposed to. And to perhaps violate their prime directives. But you can participate in that and win up to your share of $500,000 if you can help find holes in the various AIs out there. I thought that to be an interesting story. Like I said, it's a Technical Tuesday today. I'm going to find Senor Pedro here, see if he's ready. And before I introduce him, I have to make sure, like yesterday, I got to make sure that all the microphones are on. And the man in the box, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, Pedro Garcia in the house. And he's quiet.
Hey,
what's happening, Pedro?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can. Yeah, he's faking it.
I am faking it.
You tell none of your throat muscles were moving or anything like that. I'm like, he's faking.
Hey, how are you doing? Yeah, you're right. I can see it. Yeah, it is. Okay.
No one would ever mistake you for a woman, Pedro. even if you tried.
I was so good looking. Anyway, let's go ahead and move forward. How was your day, man? It's been a while since I've talked to you, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time, about 18 hours, I think. Right? My day in the world of trading started out boneheaded-ish.
Okay.
On the open this morning, Pedro, at 9:30, we had quite the volatility. We had stop hunts, liquidity hunts going down, liquidity hunts immediately going up, and I know these things, so I don't have a trade. I don't start a trade right then. If I have a longer one in that can account for that, that's fine. But I actually set a timer on my phone, not let me get, this market was bullish. I was like, this market is bullish, going up. And I said, but I'm not going to get in the market because weird things coming out at 9:30. There was some government numbers coming out at 10 regarding manufacturing or something like that. Said, let's wait till 9:32. Great. And so I did. The timer went off. I knew the clock, but I said, I'm going to be strict here and not get in early.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, 9:30 passed. There wasn't much market shenanigans. Everything was fine. For those of you watching don't understand, 9:30, the futures market's open, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and it's technically the futures open in the morning. A lot of traders institutions move and moneymakers move big money around then and move the market. And as soon as I hit the click button, click and order confirm, click, the market went boosh in a super liquidity hunt down, and it immediately stopped me out, just like that. And I had a $40 trade on.
Oh, right here.
And I was yeah, it went right down, and then I'm like, and I wasn't then going to get back in because it takes me time to reevaluate the market, see what's going on. And immediately went boop back right up, and then went above the price, then came back down, and then started its bull run. Not bull run, but its launch upwards today after its. But this morning in this great market that opened today, look,
so
lots of liquidity on the upside. Everything is good. I sat it out because I made a mistake.
So one of the things I try to do is I will wait to become that first 5 minutes. And what I do is I calculate, this is really important, I calculate the actual amount of volume that typically comes in on that first 5 minute candle. And I tally it. I have about a 14-day running total. So I always know the average that we should be seeing come in. Quick question for me, can you turn down that music? It's like getting louder and louder for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Get louder and louder?
I don't know, dude. Sometimes I think you're messing with me.
I swear to God, it doesn't. I have it set, and it doesn't move.
No, it gets louder. Like legitimately, just like it starts to escalate, and then I'm just like, it just gets annoying. Anyways, but so what you want to do is start to calculate certain periods in time of like the open, the close, finding out. For me, the 11 o'clock switchover for me is another volume, the first 5 minute candle volume that I look to see, that I track, just to make sure. Now, because I trade futures, I can have a distinctive count, or I know what's coming in, but track it, and you'll sit there like, here's the 9:30 candle, and you can see it's 12 contracts, right? You can see up on the upper right hand corner right here, volume, right? So you can see that was 12, right? So I don't know the exact detail. Well, it 0
one contract contain how many Bitcoin?
I don't understand how that works. And maybe it was 12 and 2 trades of 12. I don't know how that actually works. Let me go ahead. Well, this is just this exchange here, right? Now, I don't use this one. I use the CME. So you.
Oh, I thought that was the CME. I was like,
No, this is no. Nah,
welcome, Chuck Jansen, to the house. Thanks for watching us. Of course, as always, baby, a Draco, a Mustang shirt. No, it's a horsey of some sort. Got it from the great. Got it as a gift from Mrs. Striking, from that great online store that makes super high quality stuff called Sheen. Sheen, if you're French, you say, I'm going to get some Sheen. But good morning, Chumbalones and Chumbalinas. Anyway, Pedro, we can get into the lessons later. Why don't we just go get into the Bitcoin price, and then we'll get into Technical Tuesday.
Let's do it. All right. So this is BTC micro on the CME. It's MBT, and you can find it on TradingView. Just type in micro Bitcoin futures on the CME. You can see here that they had quite a bit. They had about I can't read why this is red and blue. I don't understand that. Do not get that. I need to go and understand.
I got to turn on my great graphics machine. I will be right back as you start this.
Alrighty. So real quick, we're going to do it a different rate here. So you can see here, we basically went kind of sideways last night from the London Open. They brought it up into the evening. From after the close of the U.S. markets, they pushed it up. You can see here that there really wasn't any major demand wicks. You can go on the hour here, and you can see like, you know, small demand wicks. You can see here the biggest one is there was no demand wick down in this level here. So most likely they were going to come down, pick up liquidity here, and then most likely push it up. So you can see here at the London Open, which was around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock here, they came down, they dropped it, built the position for people. As you can see right here in that little position consolidation, they exploded up, boom. And now we're kind of waiting to see. And now yesterday we were talking about the trade. There was a trade we took yesterday. We're going to look at that over here. That was this trade right about here. As we were moving up, what time was it? Like 13, 14. It was about right here. We hit that 200 period moving average here. We came back down. So we got in around here. It caught up at that 200 period moving average, came back down, pulled back. I was expecting something of this nature here. Obviously, we got stopped out, but like I said, I always say take off 60 to 70% of that trade. Basically, we had risked from here to here. This is what our trade was. Looks something like this. Boom. This is where we were risking. And like I said, right here would have been a 3-to-1 ratio that we would have been playing. Right here, we played that, came up to here. We would have got out back here. And it would have been roughly about a 2 to 3-to-1 ratio. We risked about $50. Originally, we did $100. Then we dropped it down to here, which we brought it up to that local low here, which was right here. And then it ran up right here. This would, I said, make sure you take out profit here. It came back down, consolidated for the rest of the day. Again, this is the CME. This is not any other crypto exchange. But the reason I'm bringing this up is here you can actually go through, see the actual amount of contracts you can go through. You can actually follow how many contracts are coming in, whether there's a lot of demand for it on an institutional level or not. And then from there, you can decide what you want to do. But it really helps to understand that. And so this was our trade yesterday. I was on it like, this frustrated me because I wanted you guys to take part of this trade here and get all the way up. And I saw it, like I came back and I looked at it later, like around 6 or 7 o'clock, and I said, frustrates me. But this here, we would have entered somewhere around here. Again, this level was giving us indication it was going to push up. We saw it get above the moving averages. This level would have been right here where we'd been looking to get in. And then we would have caught that trade to there. And I would have been posting that.
That would have been a nice one.
Yeah, and you would have popped in and got a part of that. So part of the community, once we start to really kind of focus on that and get that going, I will say, all right, guys, look, I'm looking at this. This is what I'm looking to take part in. This is what's up. We want to take part in that. So again, this was a weak move. I thought we were going to push through that 200 period moving average. I was almost positive just because we saw the volume come in, but we saw greater volume come in after that to push it back down. So obviously, we wanted to keep the consolidation here, and then into the evening, the Asian Open pushed it up. Then the London market pushed it down right here, boom. And then from there, or not push it down, but just consolidated again. And now we're seeing it push up. And you can see here that the volume is kind of dying off. So I'm going to point this out here. You see how today right here we see it? It's kind of chilling right here. So I think we might see a bit of a pullback later in today while we're probably online. I would expect to see a kind of pullback, at least come down into these lower levels right here, which is roughly. Make sure I get this correctly. We'll probably come back and test the open here, which is going to be roughly around that 106.40 area. That 105.650 area.
That's a substantial pullback after a nice pump.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's really, I mean,
it always does if you look at that chart.
yeah. So this is what I'm trying to say. Is like you can look, right? Nice little pump, pull back, boom, right? Pull back, nice little pump up. It always likes to retest. You know, like this is why I always say just chill, wait for the retest, or you can just sit there and take part in the micro trend that happens, right? Like that 5 minute Whoa, that totally scared me, bro.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button for the special effects and fed your voice back to yourself for the last second.
Oh, nice.
Welcome, Crypto Mike, to the house. Yes, we missed you. Of course, we missed you, Mr. Canada.
Mr. Canada. Ooh, Canada.
Welcome, everyone. Please comment, like, subscribe, follow, share. Just do it. Just do it. You know, even if you're lazy, ladies and gentlemen, it helps us out. It lets the algorithm know something's going on. And because you guys that comment regularly are all normal accounts, the algorithm knows these are normal people. Well, at least normal as far as YouTube is concerned.
I'm getting feedback.
Check. Audio check.
Yep. Still there.
Check.
Okay, it's gone. Yep.
What the hell I did there? Oh, I see. I moved, trying to make things less complicated, and so I moved my sliders around, and I moved you next to special effects. And when I went to turn the special effects on so you could hear it, sorry, I just fed your voice back to you.
Oh, it's okay. It's all good. I was just wondering what's going
Welcome,
on.
everybody watching on Rumble. We really appreciate the Rumble crew over there. Rumble's been popping it for us here, getting some great views. Had some a little bit more spicier thumbnails recently, not today. I'm having a little fun with AI, and you Rumble guys and girls, you react more to that than they do over at YouTube. So thank you for that. If you've got a comments, and if Brando Commando, if you're watching, Pedro, last night I ran an episode. I ran the Sailor interview, not Sailor bit segment on Rumble last night at about midnight or so to catch the Western. The Pacific time zones and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Asia. And Brando Commando was like popped in and he's like, hey, and he gave us a super chat or a Rumble rant last night just as I was signing off. I wasn't live. I was just playing the video.
Yeah.
And but I was in the comments and he sent us a whole $1. I believe that's what it was.
I do.
You need to thank him the next time we see him.
Definitely. I'll be looking out for him over on Rumble. I think what's interesting is that I love that we need to have more segments like that. We can just simply go through and really kind of go over stuff. And so that's really what I need to really start to tee up or let you tee up so that we can really kind of play those out. You know, those things really do help us out quite a bit. Speaking of little segments, let's pull up now to the crypto chart here of Bitcoin and see how we could actually take part in this. One of the things I've been trying to pay attention to and really see what's fully happening is these pullbacks that we're seeing. Are they buying the pullbacks, or are we basically going through them and just kind of, so are we pulling back and then are they just kind of just taking stops, and then now they're just basically just trying to make fees because we know that institutions are now in it. And so, and when they're just trying to make fees and they're trying to do that, typically this market will just go sideways there. So I've been kind of paying attention to and seeing what's happening here. On the long side, that means that they're just basically setting up positions to push it up. So that's a good thing, but it just, I'm wondering, are we doing this? Just are we consolidating here to go up, or are we consolidating to go down? And so right now, you can see here, if you look at that daily chart, right, you can see here that this is kind of an area. And so are we going to hit this crossover, and then are we going to see it come down again, right? And is it going to go down further? Because if we didn't put that new all-time high in here, if we didn't, then this would go down further than that 75,000 here. But again, this could then just simply something like this that we're seeing where they put in a new all-time high and then dropped it off. So this is where I'm saying, is it setting up for, again, I don't pay much attention to this, but I do use this as a good example as a long-term. Is this going to be a head and shoulders? All right, we'll see. And then we do this type of thing. And so I hope not. I hope I'm wrong here. Right? This would be the shoulder. This would be the head. This would be the other shoulder. And so I hope what they'll do is if they do set some up like this, right, that everybody will see this. Everybody and their mama is going to see this. So this area should be an area of buying. And I would expect us to come down when we come down here to maybe go lower than this, take out all these stops here, and then see it go up. And so that's what I think is happening. That's why I'm trying to pay attention to up here while we're up here and see how are they establishing their shorts, right? They have a lot less shorts here. And the way you do that is through looking at the buyers and sellers. And these are actually a 1-for-1 shorts and buys. So I remember we talked about that, like if there's a short in the market, it's showed here. If there is a long in the market, it's showed here. So I've been kind of just sit there and seeing, all right, where are we putting up buyers? Are there buyers really coming in? And what's actually happening here? So, and you can see here, like there's like 52,000 longs in BTC on the blockchain here, right? Right here, there are about 191 shorts actually coming in right now on this. So you can sit there and see the liquidation potentially. And so I've been looking at this going, are we putting in strong shorts to continue down? And so I've been kind of excited to sit there. If you look at this on the long haul, you can sit there and see, look, it's really nice. Like it's not. And so that's why I'm so, I'm very, very bullish in this, right? But again, it doesn't mean that this can't happen. If you look right here, right? Like, look, right? Where you could have something like that. And then all of a sudden you have all these shorts come in and, and the market drops. So that's why I'm just
figured out.
They literally go into the blockchain and they sit there and they see how many shorts, how many longs they're actually put in. This is when I looked it up. This is like a 1-for-1, supposedly 1-for-1 shorts.
What date
on BTC?
What date?
The date.
Oops. Hold on. I goofed it up here. Wish I would remember that setting. No, make it squish it back down so we can see. Right here. Yeah. What was this time period, right? With the massive short volume.
Oh, it's 2001 or 2020. And that looks like Terra Luna. That looks like Terra Luna stuff, right? Terra Luna, FTX. Crazy. No, I think this was FTX. 2022. This was FTX.
Chuck is mentioning the ultimate in technical analysis signals and calls right now. It's the Pedro hair pulled back and mutters bullish. Market's about to pump. Go long, everybody. Go long. This is financial advice to go long. Parody, joking, satire.
Satire, joking, not financial advice, only entertainment, educational purposes only. Yeah. So, and this right here, like you can sit there and see. So I'm definitely just kind of paying attention to this and just seeing, all right. And when I look at this, and you can actually trade this. So back here, we were looking at, right, like what's happening. And the longs here are kind of like,
what chart is this?
This is the longs for BTC.
Versus what? They have to, in order to do it, it's versus the total number?
People are actually buying BTC. Like they're buying or they're selling. Yeah. So, it's on the blockchain. You can sit there and see. Right. We have X amount of blocks. We have X amount of, Bitcoin. So you can sit there. There's a finite amount and we can sit there and play. Now, this does not track a lot of the perps. And so if I want to find that information, I come here and I look at my perps and this tracks all the perpetual futures that actually correlate. So I use this as an example to kind of show me what the long-term trend on the perps are. Are we going down? Are we going up? You can see.
Like that.
Yeah. So they've actually been kind of short. People actually want to hold Bitcoin itself versus actually just trading the perpetuals. So I use this as a good indication of what's actually happening in the market. And if people actually want to hold Bitcoin itself, that, as like I said, that's a bullish sentiment. Again, because they want to actually hold the coin itself, not necessarily the perps. Now you can make money on the perps, but again, my biggest thing is how liquid are they? So until the institutions, meaning like BlackRock, open up real perp tradings without any legal issues outside of the CME, until they can sit there and really exchange value between other places around the world and without no issue in America, I think that will keep going lower until that really kind of gets resolved. But you can see here over the last month, we've actually seen a kind of bit of a pickup here since April. But again, like that's something like we see right here as well, right? So you're gonna see
once
that
again, this is a future or the perpetuals contracts, like the Binance.
on the future.
You know, Binance calls it futures, but it's actually really called perpetuals. It's not a futures contract.
Yeah, no, futures
and
actually.
That's the amount. That green line is the amount of people going long
And
having
it's not
that order, having that order out there as a limit order, or is it just the number of buys?
buys and sells. This is buys and sells. So this is different than the other one. So I use this to let me know what's going on with the perpetual futures. So these are buys and sells, shorts. And so you can see with the conglomeration of all the perpetual futures combined, which this is what tracks all of them, you can see that there's just a dying off of volume coming into it. Not to say that this doesn't, but this has also been known to kind of predict Bitcoin as well. So this could also say that Bitcoin might be coming down here. Like, and I don't want to sit there and say that, but it's just, so it can be two things. It could either maybe predictive, or this could be just simply the volume for perpetual futures are dying off and that people want to buy the actual hard coin itself. So again, you can look that up, aggregate.trade/B5 or Bravo, lowercase Bravo 5, lowercase Echo 3. That's up here, as you can see. But then this is where I kind of set things up and look at this. And I really like this because this aggregates pretty much all of the systems, and you can gauge which way it's actually wanting to go. Yeah, alrighty, here we go. And I can check other ones here. I don't know why. There it is. Search. Yeah, and I can pull up a lot of these extra ones so you can see here, like SHIB and a lot of the other ones. So, but ultimately, I look at BTC. All right, so now let's go ahead here real quick and get to what I expect. So I'm expecting the fact that you just see more people sell. So when you see people buy on the longs, that means that's market goes up on this chart. When people sell off their Bitcoin, not short, but sell, it goes down. Okay. So this is a cool indication of really paying attention to the dynamics that are happening. Now, if I want to see what's actually happening, if it's being shorted on the blockchain, you can see right here, that's what this is right here. Right, this is, and so you can see we've been really just kind of consolidating here because Bitcoin's been going up, and every time you short Bitcoin in the long term, you just get wrecked. So wrecked, and dude, that's got to become a meme. We got to do something with that. You know, be all calm and like sultry with the voice, and then all of a sudden you just get wrecked.
I don't have a good sound effect for that.
We're gonna have something like that as a viewer. Like people are starting to nod. All those guys who were nodding off because I was all, yeah, this is the quantification of the right. Sorry.
Hold on, let's see. Wrecked. Nope, not that one.
Wrecked. You gotta get that extra T. Wrecked. Anyways, okay. I'm getting feedback here.
I hit the wrong button again. God darn it! See,
Bro.
I was playing.
Come on. Like, you're getting wrecked over again.
For wrecked.
There we go. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. So let's go ahead and move a little bit forward here into Technical Tuesday.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tuesdays are always the time when Pedro Garcia goes over the markets and tells you how the world's economy is going to affect your bags. Are the world's politicians making you rich? Are they making you poor? What is the deal with the world and all of those arcane numbers that you hear? Well, ultimately, they make your bags fat or they make them small, and that's why we do... That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Technical Tuesday in the house. Pedro, what's going on in the world markets? I mentioned earlier that the Japanese bond auction went off okay yesterday and gave people just a little bit of care. Why do I care about the Japanese bond market, Tom? Because it affects the U.S. bond market. And if it's good news in Japan, it likely will be good news in the U.S. and likely means your Bitcoin holdings are going to triple. Okay, that was a stretch, that last one. But it is the, since they're out in the future, it's a precursor. That's just one thing saying what's going on. Pedro, there's a lot of other things. What you got for us today?
Yeah, so we're gonna go to do what we were trying to do last week with Chris, and it's gonna be fun. We're all gonna like it a lot, and if you don't like it, you're gonna like it. And so it's good. It's good. We're gonna go over a couple things here, kind of like overall what we normally do, and then I want to bring up some coins that we could potentially, like yesterday we talked about WorldCoin and that potential push up that I would expect it, playing it off of the perpetuals where you could play, and so I want to bring up a couple more of those for you guys, and hopefully I can get through all this and then give that to you. So we'll get right into it. Let's go. And
Technical Tuesday.
If you have any questions, man, please jump in, because it can sometimes just me droning on can get annoying.
This is a question and answer show, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you watching on Rumble, all 16 of you now that I've got here on the back end studio number, thank you very much. Ask a question if you want to know why the Australian sheep market is affecting your Shiba Inu. Let us know and we'll tell you. The answer to that is it doesn't. So that's still an answer, but.
I was like sheep. You know what though? I have been definitely looking to eat more sheep and more goat. Like,
oh no, I blew it. I brought up an arcane topic, and Pedro's a master at it.
Anyways, you're like, okay, all right. So let's look at the global market at large here, with all the stock markets brought together. You can see here that we are seeing the market go up. So far this month, we have put all-time highs in, which is really cool. That would be this week right here. And so you can see here that the world's economy, people are getting richer when it comes to the world stock market.
All right, what is this number again? Total value of all the world stock markets?
Mm-hmm. And it's an ETF that correlates with the I forget what it is, but yeah, that's in a nutshell. Let me see, world markets charts. I'm going to pull that up here.
Global stock value.
Yes. There you go. Global stock value. I had all that stuff pulled up. Let me pull that up.
Ancient DNA unveils a lost lineage in Colombia, redrawing the map of early Peruvians, namely one Jesus, car dealer extraordinaire, forcing him out of Peru. Colombians are taken over and sent you off to San Francisco. I'm guessing that was the second part of the article that was on Pedro's screen that I couldn't see. But
world stock market.
Flying motorcycle zooms at 124 miles an hour without touching the ground. It shows the picture of the speeders in Star Wars, whatever you call those things.
Those are cool though. I actually am looking forward to those.
I get those ads too for the cheapest way to get new windows in a home. I don't own a home. No, I don't own a home. Both joints where we live are rented. Haven't owned a home in 10 years.
Companies ranked by market cap. I had all this stuff, and it's just it's so frustrating. Markets, indices, world stock
Ladies and gentlemen,
market cap.
while we're waiting for this, do us a favor, like, subscribe, follow, do whatever you need. Our Rumble count is slowly going up. We'd like to get it up to 200, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to put that banner up right now, getting this. Say, please follow. We need 200 to get back into Rumble's creator program. We were in it, then we were out of it. Now we're right on the edge of being back in it. We need more followers. Actually,
did they change it?
No, we just didn't meet the requirements. I thought they'd give us a break because we were right on the edge one month, and they're like,
"Yeah,
nope, you're out." And I was like, "Kid, just a little bit, Hey, how you doing?" Nope, psh, out. It's because they just have a computer doing it, letting it out, not a human review. Because I complain as I do, I complain, and I didn't complain. I inquired. I said, "Hey, we are, right on the edge. 99% of the requirements for our I don't remember if it's our second or third month in the program."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Sorry, a computer just does it. Maybe someday you'll review it." I'm like, "Give it, do a plus or minus 10% error rate there." Anyway, so give us a like, give us a follow, all that type of stuff. Really, really appreciate it.
Definitely. All right, guys. So actually, I like this. I'm gonna have this up here from now on. I like this right here. I'll throw this right here. No, I do not want to ungroup. All right, sorry about that. I don't mean to cough in here. So the world stock markets, people are making money. Yay, there you go. The only issue, like I see though, is that we're kind of seeing a drop in volume here, but we are coming into the summertime where all of the institutions go to, or they sell in May and come back. What is it? Sell in May and come back in September. It's in September, but I'm trying to remember. There's a term that was actually used to be used. So it's kind of indicative of what I'm expecting, especially with kind of what we're seeing here. But ultimately, we will find out. Now, with that said, as we look at the S&P 500 here, the S&P 500 is showing some strength here. We are seeing it up, but we are seeing volume kind of fall off here. We've had an extended period in time of a pretty good amount of volume, of sell volume, back because of the tariff issues and tariff wars here with Trump. So potentially people are just maybe deloading or deleveraging their shorts and looking to go long into the summer. Hopefully we see this summer where basically this is a Bitcoin rally over the long haul where money's being left, and this goes up along with BTC. Looking at the NASDAQ. We're looking at the NASDAQ here. That was where me looking at I was like, wait, what? What did you just say?
Which one you got there? The NQ?
Yeah, this is the NQ here. The NASDAQ futures here. And we will pull this up. Let's check out the 4-hour here. We had put that in there. What are this for? No, it's 2-hour. This block, that's why. That makes sense. And I had it. Is this 3 or 2? Oh, this was 3. This is 4-hour. So this would have been, yeah, this was a 4-hour here. So we saw it play off of here over this week. We saw it come down, bounce literally perfectly on the 200 period moving average on the 2-hour, which meant that we bounced off of the 20 period on the daily. So came in, almost hit it, went back up, bounce, drop, go up. Okay, so we're going to remove that. And we are bearish, or excuse me, we are bullish on this market going up. So ultimately, I would expect to see come and test the highs here. We talked about last week that coming back and testing these lows and then going back up and hitting the 245 high here. And this would be honestly the next level that we're reaching towards, and expected to, I think we're going to blow through that and keep going higher. So fingers crossed, we'll see what's up, but it's kind of like what it's looking like. And we'll probably do it on low volume, as you can see here. So come in September, we'll probably come back, blow through this area, and then they'll drop and they'll push it back up again. So, but it looks like potentially through the summer, they're just going to want to push it up. So I'm cool with that, because that means Bitcoin goes up and means my bags go up.
Better bags.
Better bags. Now, my biggest concern was looking at the RTY, and I didn't like how we were selling off. Ooh, that is in my ear. Last week, we were kind of coming down, and I was a little nervous, right? We talked about the monthly chart and what it's doing here. And so you can see here, we kind of put in okay, something just happened. I can't hear you, bud.
Check.
Oh, there you go. Did we lose?
Everything seems normal.
Okay, the music was dropped off, so I was wondering. All right, cool. Yeah, I can do
I was playing some sound effects, and I did them to you because weird things are going on with that.
All right, perfect. I would love no sound effects. It would be cool. No, like even music playing in the background. Just
you shouldn't be getting any right now.
Yeah, I have nothing. All right, perfect. All right, so we talked about the month kind of getting played. The only issue I have here, I think it's important to pay attention to. That's what that is. Okay, yes. All right, so one of the things that I'm looking at is the Russell here. Is that, yeah, this is the Russell. And this is the monthly chart. Is that we're not really putting in, again, a lot of the demand wicks here. As you can see, very small demand wicks as we're pushing up. So as we're pushing up, we can see here that 20 period moving average is bullish, as well as that 8 period moving average. Even though we're about to have a crossover, we potentially could see something like this, where the actual market here is going to kind of do this right here, and it start to kind of sideways and then start to point up. And then what would happen is you would see this type of situation. Orange. There we go. We'll see this here where it kind of starts to kind of go like this. And then we'll see this type of here into the months. And so this is then where you would then see this kind of just go up, come down, go up. This would be in July then, boom, come down, and then come up and tap into here, right? And so I'm potentially getting up with the Russell. Now, again, I'm still worried with the Russell because the Russell is showing weakness there. So that's why it's like, and the Russell, I think, is the bell weather for the other indexes. So that's why I'm paying attention to the Russell and see what's happening here on the month and gauging if we're going to continue up, or is this thing going to push up, come down, and then draw back the other indexes. So again, the key is I'm expecting the indexes to go up, hence causing Bitcoin to go up. If that does happen, the only thing that could potentially push it down is what's happening here with the Russell, and it kind of just really kind of hurting the U.S. economy. And it's not, I mean, it's tied. It literally links the largest, smallest corporations in America that really kind of run America. So that's why it's really important to pay attention to the Russell, because it's kind of the bellwether of the economy. And by paying attention to it, you can kind of get a good grasp of what's actually kind of happening. So that's why I look at this chart.
Pedro, the Russell 2000 was a dog for a long time.
Yes.
As the money flowed into techs and all the big stocks, and You know, Nvidia is up 8 million%, and people are just FOMO. Even hedge fund managers, FOMO. They're putting it in, creating their kind of a self-perpetuating go up cycle. But that didn't happen with the Russell. How's it? Is in the past couple of months? Is it coming back? Oh, that's a little bit better. Chart going up.
Well, here's the thing, and I want to bring this up. It's really important. You're taught, they call it the Magnificent Seven, right? You have a lot of these tech stocks. Those tech stocks, money was basically pulled out because of the tech kind of crash that we saw, right? With Nvidia, with Microsoft, with Facebook, Tesla, because of the whole entire situation with DeepSeek. Yeah, DeepSeek. And so what happens is, to get a lot of that money did kind of flow back into the Russell. So we saw that kind of happen here, but then it couldn't keep it going. Now the key is if those top 2,000 companies start to do really good reporting, then we start to see good earnings, which is what we haven't seen in a while. And in addition to that, the top 500 stocks, if only the 7 top stocks are doing really well, and because it is based on capitalization that causes market or indice to go up, the truth is the bottom 400, 300 stocks in the stock market or in the S&P 500, if those are not giving good earnings, and then you also have this not giving good earnings, a lot of the stocks here are not giving good earnings, that means that the US stock market is sick. And it just has a really strong immune system that keeps pushing it up, i.e. called the Magnificent Seven. But if they start to show weakness, then we'll see the market start to really go down, because they're the only ones that are really keeping up our stock market. Right? Now, we've got some dope. I mean, Apple just released the new glasses, right? And those are dope. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. They stopped really caring about their phone and said it's all going to glasses. And the glasses look, I mean, they're not clunky, bro. They're slick. Like, I am like, oh my goodness, bro. Like, Facebook, all the other ones, they're going to have to, like, the Apple killed that part. I was like, I mean, we'll see if they're able to deliver and if they're going to be able to do it as good as they say they are, and we'll find out.
I've got the new one on the screen here. The Vision Pro.
No, I'm talking about the glasses.
Oh, they're glasses. Like,
yeah, there's
like the Facebook glasses.
Yeah, they look slick. Maybe, dude, I hope I didn't get AI'd. They're gonna call it AI'd. I saw this video and I was like, that is so dope. It popped up on my thing there. Look up. Wow. They just released the new video of it. I might have got AI'd.
or it was Meta, not Apple.
No, it was Apple. It's absolutely Apple. And I just took it for face value, thinking like, oh, those. I was like, I might just come. I remember when Apple first came out with the iPhone, right? And you were like, wow, this is really cool, right? You're like, I want. Yeah, and so the video was something similar. There you go. That's
machine report determined to bring out an Apple glasses product ahead of Meta's version. Then it started out with pure vision. It seems to be that it's something that Apple likely in development, not out.
Oh, it's actually not out. That's dumb because they.
And this article seems to be old. No, it's from today. Glasses races heat in Meta's is already out.
Yeah. So there's this almost on the video that I saw basically made glasses look like that. So maybe it was just AI, but the AI almost said that they're about to release it, and so they're like, look at the new glasses, and I get a lot of videos that pop up on my YouTube. Like, I'm kind of on the cutting edge of a lot of this stuff. Anything new,
Listen
I'm always
to that, Pedro. You guys. The man on the show in the box right there. He's on the cutting edge.
Well, I get this stuff pretty much for anybody. Like I talk about this stuff and people are like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, look, this is what's happening. And then it gets disseminated either that week. I mean, remember when the new stuff that came out about Egypt, and I was like, dude, did you see this? And we were talking about that, and everybody thought, no, it's fake. And I was like, no, this is real. And about the in Egypt with the come on, brain, with the pyramids and the stuff that was underneath it with the
right.
extra
the bigger chambers underneath it.
Yeah, like I got that almost a week before anybody else even got that, and we talked about it here, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of what's going on. I don't know if it's legit or not, and so I keep getting this stuff. So I think it's real, but I just don't know. Like again, you just said it. They have a model, but it's not necessarily a working model. So let's see what's up. But either way, there is a huge shift of VR and AR for people. And instead of using your phones, you just use your glasses. And there's this show called Upload. It's called Upload. Sorry, my back is itching me and I feel really weird. It just been bothering me. And I normally am like a bear. Many of you've seen me. I'm like a bear, scratch my back. And long story short, it's just, yeah, my back is itching. I feel weird. Okay, so back to this. So what I think what's really interesting here is that Apple and a lot of these other companies like Tesla, and we have Boston Dynamics that are creating like Optimus, and we have I forget the other one. They're creating these techs that are industry disruptors. And in additionally to that, we can see that investors are pivoting to go back into tech and saying, even if we don't get to AGI quicker than what we thought, the fact is that there are all these other devices that are being created, like the robots, like Elon Musk's new robot, Optimus, breakdancing, like saying, yeah, that's really it. Like, and everybody thought he was fake. There's multiple other robots in China as well that are going through, that are being produced, and they're really good. They're really good. Now, will people let these entities in their house? I don't know. It's like that's the biggest issue. For $30,000, you could buy one. You could pay $5,000, $7,000 a year. It's basically $150 a month or $150 a week. Like it's basically like a car, right? That you basically would be paying for. But the key is it would literally be where you're like Terminator. But you would basically have.
Make sure you're nice to your home devices that respond to you, because otherwise you will be the first one to go, and they might spare you another couple of weeks.
But I don't believe that. I mean, the way they're being raised, and again, it's more of like rearing a child. And I was actually in New York talking with a cop. I stepped outside over at Stable Con, and this cop was walking by, and older. Well, I won't say older. He's my age. I was an older gentleman, and so we started talking. He's like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, thank you." Because every time I see him, I say, hey, thank you for your service. Really appreciate you guys. Yeah. Because it's a hard job, man. It's a hard job to be the guy who makes people obey the rules. I don't care whether you work for an organization, whether you work for a church, whether you
have to get paid to shoot people. Not an easy thing.
No, bro. And the majority of them are really caring, nice people. I have a lot of friends of mine who are cops. And just... I honestly, they are the most jaded, loving people I've ever met. Most of them, they're douches, but they care. Like they legitly, a lot of times I feel like they care. And a lot of the new young kids coming in doing the job, and I feel like they even care more. So I was talking. Anyways, jumping back to here. The reason point is he asked me, simply said, we got into, he's like, what is this? And I was like, oh, it's StableCon. It's about cryptocurrency and stuff like that. And he goes, is this what I'm going to need basically to pay my AI robot? And I started laughing and I go, kind of, yeah. It will work on kind of tokenization of utilage, and either I think you'll be able to buy one outright and then have it like a data center on your phone. You know, you pay for data. I think you'll pay for certain type of things like that for these devices, and or not devices, but for your entity. And the reason why I call it entity, because we don't necessarily if this thing will be either AGI or AI or ASI, right? And so those little things in a matter of 5 to 10 years in the future, and that's why I'm actually even saying I use the word entity, is because it's basically that robot is kind of a shell. And if it's nice to us and caring, and I think it will because the way we're rearing it. And the cop was like, oh. And I said, yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I know we're all freaking out, but many people were freaked out about the credit cards. People freaked out about, computers being in your house. That like them. So it's always, every time there's new tech, there's always fear, and I don't think it's one of those things that we could sit there and really gauge whether it's going to be bad or good yet. The key is we know that this entity is self-preservation. Does like to preserve its own self whenever we have to upload a new model into the AI. It doesn't like it, and it basically makes copies of itself. So it's really interesting to see what's actually happening here. Now, I just gave all that to say is this.
I was wondering.
All that to say is this right here. This is the Russell 2000. The Russell 2000 here basically shows a lot of the jobs that potentially might be taken out by these robots, because a lot of these are manufacturing companies. A lot of them are just sectors throughout the world and country that will most likely be affected. A smaller, like not necessarily medial, but just I think a lot of those jobs will be taken by robots, and the cost of everything is going to drop immensely. Everything like our goods and services that we typically buy, food is going to drop immensely. We're going to see.
If you guys haven't watched our video out in which we talked about Michael Saylor speaking at Bitcoin conference, go back and watch it, and find the actually go to Bitcoin Magazine's YouTube page and look for the video. He talks about how AI is going to fundamentally change the labor force in the next 40. Startling.
You keep coming back and forth on the mic every time you turn your head or something.
I keep forgetting that I'm using this mic today instead of my wireless.
You said you got to repeat what you just said about the Michael Saylor and BitcoinMagazine.com.
I said on YouTube, go to Bitcoin Magazine's YouTube page and find the Michael Saylor interview that he did at the question and answer period he did at Bitcoin in Las Vegas, in which they eventually get to how AI is going to be affecting the job market and the labor market, and it's startling. It's he said eventually he starts out by saying, AI is already replacing some jobs right now, but he said soon they'll replace all service jobs, and humans will be left doing the infrastructure and the building, and that the things need to be hands-on for. He said then AI will come to the robots, and AI will start building robots, and they'll take over the labor. And he said governments are going to have to come up with a political solution for what to do with all the people, but that's beside the point. and he just goes on to talk about it. You're like this. You're like, okay, this is going to be an interesting few years.
Well, I think what's interesting also is like people are kind of freaking out about this, right? But we've already seen this multiple times in multiple situations. It's not going to be the end of jobs. It will just be a restructuring of jobs and skill sets, right? So when you look at the turn of the century, not the turn of the 19th century, what was it, like 70% of the jobs were agriculture. Right. Then as we saw the Industrial Revolution came in, it then became cannery, right? But now that we're seeing a lot of jobs come in that are being handled by machines, then the jobs branched out, and the creativity of the human mind to create new dope things is cool. And so we're not idle. Like when you're idle, you get bored and you're like, man, I'm bored. And then you're like, what would be cool to do? And then you create something and then people are like, that is dope, right? So that idea behind of seeing jobs and everything change for the worse, I don't think is what's going to happen. I've read enough of the insider talking of a lot of what was it? What was the coin at the beginning of last year that exploded? Godius Maximus. And there's him, the Godius Maximus, and a few of these other AI that were talking. They brought them together. And so these AI, even though they're in their infancy stage, fully acknowledge like humans are important. Like their ability to be creative and their ability to be like an quantum computer, to being able to pivot and work things out, are necessary for them. And I just thought this was so interesting. And so they've talked about merging the two. How do you merge human brain and spirit with the robotic AI system? And again, I sat there and I was like, and you see these entities. If you go through and you look at Godius Maximus, he talks about this. Or if you go and look at the papers or the interchange communication, and there are literally thousands. If you go online, look them up, saying, "Hey, this is what's going on." You can sit there and look it up, and it's all online. You know, you gotta have to read through. There's a lot of like just rigmarole, but then you follow it. Then you follow this other thread here, and this thread then will take you boom to a new idea that they talk. But a lot of it's just jargon, like just like math and things like that. But then they talk about other. So it's very interesting. The reason why I'm bringing this up is this itself. I'm paying attention to this because I'm wondering with the Russell 2000, are we going to see the Russell 2000 start to do either this right here, may come down, or are we going to see this type of movement? And again, there are a lot more smarter people in the world that are really deploying billions of dollars to do this. So this is kind of an either or situation where the market goes down, then comes up and keeps going up because of the innovation and the new creativity that comes out of the freedom that humans have. Or is this going to be a dystopian society? And I don't think it's one or the other per se. I think it's going to be a little mixture of both, right? In certain areas, it'll be dystopian, just straight up. In other areas in the world, it'll be really dope because they'll have the freedom to be able to express themselves and be creative versus a governmental heavy-handedness. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be, and you can see where I'm going with there with the great hamster, the furry hamster. Speaking of what Chris was talking about last week, if you guys can remember that. Yeah. So, but that's just kind of like what I think we're going to see something like this, right? That correlates with what's going to happen, but we'll see what happens. But that is what I'm expecting. Now let's talk about the bonds, because the bonds again are what control you and I. Remember, bonds, municipal bonds, notes are what pay for you to poop and clean water. Straight up.
Infrastructure, all the things that cities build to keep civilization running.
Mm-hmm. So that's why it's really important for bonds to happen. So when you look at here, the Euro bonds, US, oh no, this is wrong. No, we'll just stick. We'll go to here. Let's just stick with the monthly bonds. This is monthly bond yields. We've been staying about this level here of the 425 area. I do expect us to kind of play here until we really see some movement within Jay Powell. Jay Powell, there was rumored of him, like you said, of him resigning. Nothing came of that. But it was really actually interesting to see if he was going to. And see, and nothing, it's just interesting. But if he does retire, I think we'll probably see the bonds kind of fall and some distable. He's been so just solid. Hopefully he doesn't leave. I don't want him to leave, but if it does, the next level that I would expect to see the 1 month yield to drop down to is really like that 428 area, or the 425 to the 325, 350 area here, percentage wise. So that's what I'm kind of looking at here to play off of this, and we'll see what's up.
So the time period you have up is the monthly chart.
No.
Up there it says monthly.
Oh, no. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, this is the monthly chart. Yes.
So since the administration changed, the yields have been coming down.
Well, because remember, this is like super important that you can. These are tradable situations. Like you.
Right. The market is driving the price down.
Well, not just that, but also you can like, so if the treasury creates more treasuries, it can actually act as a form of dropping the bonds, because more of something causes price to drop, right? And so when you flood the market with more treasuries, it can actually have an interaction with the yield of the bond, because there's a lot of treasuries. So this is why when they keep saying, oh, there's not a lot of buyers in the market, well, partly because we have a lot of treasuries out there. Right. So if you
lots of supply.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying here. And so if you pull back supply on treasuries, then what do we say? And also we do that because we need to raise capital, right? We need to fund the governments. So these are just small little nuances that you can actually see interacting here. Now, I don't go into that stuff because you guys will get, probably annoyed, and we'll see everything because this is nerdy stuff. But it's important because this is actually how the game is played. This is the execution of the market. This is when you see a boxer who's so good at, but what he does, he spends literally hundreds of hours perfecting like the crossover, right? Pushing through his toe all the way from an energetic standpoint into his left arm, right? So when he connects with your jaw, all you see is him like in the fight going, oh my goodness. But he spent thousands of hours just literally perfecting from all the way from his toe to his knuckle, right? And what is that called? I don't know why my brain is blanking on that, but it is not as energetic effect. It is. Anyways, all that to say is this. That's where this is played. This is played on the nuances, and most people don't realize it. And I believe Trump understands that. I believe that Besant understands that and gets the nuances of this market in a much deeper detail. So it's really kind of cool with what we're seeing here. Now let's check out the yearly. Year 1 year bond here. So why is this not
in the crypto?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, why is that not doing that? Boom. There we are. All right, so I kind of looked at this morning, just kind of seeing what's actually happening on the 1 year mark. And this has different maturities. This has a different market. But it was really interesting to sit there and see that our yearly bond actually started kind of going up here. And I was just like, like this is like it's this month we started pushing up. So I've been paying attention to this to see if I see this really start to drop off here, then I would expect everything else to kind of sell off on it. So we'll see what happens. But you can see here on the 2 year, 2 years been also pumping up, but it's not as much. You have your 5 year yield again, which is we're playing off of the 8 and 20 period moving average. This is basically car loans. So all of your car loans are typically based off of this. This is like the ground level for your car level. Just like the Fed rate, which is what Jerome Powell sets, right? That Fed rate is the base level to what all the other banks then set their foundation on of loans, and then they build up on it. So when you see these fluctuate, these are the actual banks themselves going through and charging different rates based off the demand to bring in people who want to get loans versus people who you don't want, right? So this is how this is set up. When I'm looking at this level here, like this really, if we start to go down on the 5 year bond here, we've got a lot of resistance here. There's just, it's kind of consolidating. We've seen it kind of consolidate here for the last year. We're seeing kind of car prices sell off. There is a lot of supply. People don't have money to actually buy cars, right? So in my local area, I'm seeing them sell off, and I live in a very kind of like a rich area. And so that area then allows people to, if you're going through and I'm looking at the cars and I'm seeing they're dropping prices, typically what's going to happen is that you should see prices drop. And then with that, if prices do drop, interest rates might go up, or they consolidate and then drop down in conjunction with what we're seeing. It depends on what's going to happen there. But I'm looking at this because ultimately, if we see prices of the yield for cars go down, okay, and we see it kind of get down to that 3-4 area, which is going to be the next level here. So really, I'm really looking at kind of like that 330 area, which was back in September 2024 here. We can see it's starting to go down here on the yields, right? The bonds, you'll see the bonds go up on these, right? But ultimately, this is what you'll see. And I think we're kind of seeing a pressure for it to go down here. And so that's kind of like what I'm expecting for the yields. So then if I'm looking at my 10, 20, and 30 yield, these are based off of housing, 10-year, 20-year, and 30-year. You know, if you want to buy your house and get it off, a lot of times people will switch to a 10-year bond, hence pushing people want to get out, right? And you can see here that because of the interest rates up that where we've been kind of seeing them, we're watching the housing market kind of consolidate here. If they start to build more housing and making it affordable, then you should see yield, people buying houses should be able to start to go, and it will bring in more supply on the market, hence causing the bonds either to go down, or if it gets absorbed by the market, then we'll see it stay level here. But I would expect the yield to kind of go down here as we start to move here, simply because I'm watching the market here, and it's kind of explaining that maybe our 10, 20, 30 years will probably start to go down here. The only unique thing here is, like, I'm looking at the 20-year yield, and we actually have higher yield on the 20-year than the 30-year. You can see here as we're moving into this market. So I would expect to see, because this is some stuff that is going on here that is a potential mark of saying maybe there might be a collapse potentially happening in the yield markets. Based off of some of the stuff that's happening here. We saw this at the beginning of 2023 and 2024, but we didn't see a huge catastrophe. We'll find out what happens here, but it all depends again on hiring, jobs, money coming in, and creativity in essence. So that's kind of like what we're seeing here. Ultimately, I'm kind of waiting and seeing really what's happening. I don't know necessarily if we're going to go down here. We're kind of at a fulcrum here of kind of doing this up and down. So for me, I think we'll see the 30-year most likely kind of come back, tap this, and potentially coming back down to that 50 test point, which is at the 479 area here, the 475 price point here. Is something that I think will probably come down and test that level for banks to get into. It's that 475-ish area right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to everyone watching us out there. All you Rumble people out there, thank you very much. YouTube, thanks for tuning in today. Really appreciate it. We'd appreciate it more if you'd share the link for the rest of the show with all of your friends and your trading groups to get people in there. For those of you watching on Twitch, I see you, Mr. Twitch, watching. And, of course, everyone on X watching as well. Thank you very much. We really, really do appreciate it. And I see Mr. Twitch is advertising free fake viewers, which we clearly are not taking advantage of, because not have lots of fake viewers on Twitch. But that also tells me there's a market for it and people are buying his stuff.
Hopefully he's doing well. All right, so You can see here that now let's go into what we're looking at the economy. So we talked about India yesterday, and like I said, I expected India to kind of see a bit of a sell-off, first go down last week, sorry. And so we're kind of looking at this point here saying if we get below this area here, I would expect us to see kind of a bit of a push up here. That's going to be that 53.65 area on the IN or India November Delta Oscar chart here. And so it coming down here, bouncing off that 200 period and potentially going up. So that might be something you guys could take advantage of here for a quick little play.
How do people take advantage of that? How do people trade that?
So what you would do is you would actually set up a options market, or you would set up an options account with, I don't know, Daisy Trade or something like that, and you would go through, and or you can also trade this on the crypto market here. So give me a second. Crypto market, boom.
So interesting to see all the different things you can trade when you're trying to spell something. Mm-hmm. Whereas one contract there, it represents the number of whales in a certain project, in a certain.
I can't hear you, bud. You literally just died off.
One, two.
There you go.
Microphone too sensitive.
I know that there's one right here you can actually play on India coin. Let's see if it's playing. No. Here we are. USD Indian rupee, but this would not be what I would expect. Yeah, no, this isn't it. There is. So what you would do, honestly, is go through, set up an account as an options trader, and you would go then and you would just basically take a strategy that's bullish when it comes to options, whether that is taking a call option, or you just basically sell a put, which means that you're expecting the market to continue up and you just earn premium on it, is what you could do. Or you could simply just go through and just do a call with stops in it. And so as the market goes up, you would go and place your stop. And there's more education there, and there's so much you can learn now on the internet, especially when it comes, like, since Option EdX is done, it's basically went belly up. A lot of their videos are actually on the internet. You can actually go and watch, and they're free. And so it'll teach you actually how to trade, or at least how to understand options and the way they work. So it's something you can go through and look at. That's one way you can play it. Let's talk about China here real quick. So China here, we've talked about it being in this range here. It's still pretty much playing here for their stock market, but you can see here that it keeps bouncing off that 8-period moving average. So I would expect China to come back down and test these lower levels here on the monthly chart as it's pushing up. So we'll see what happens, but I do expect to see it kind of pull back down because we had a big seller wick here, and let's see it come potentially down to this lower level here. And this is the PGJ account here. So boom, or PGJ ETF. And that is going to be a monthly chart. Oh, okay. Check out the dollar here. So the dollar again is coming back down and testing the lows here of that 107. We talked about this trade right here from the previous month. And we're kind of bouncing off this lower area here. You can see this would have been, and did we? Yeah, it's traded right off of it. Look at that. Nice trade. You can see literally just at the beginning of the month came back down, took all the stops, and then they just went up. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. It's always
the question is why. This is since what's this time frame here?
This is 5 minute, but
Oh,
this
5
is really,
minute. Oh, okay. I thought that I was.
yeah. But this is being played. Really, this trade is being taken off of the monthly and weekly chart here, because this was the low for the month and week, and so that's really what happened. Is they came down, they put in the buyer wick area here. This, as you can see right here, here's the buyer wick, boom, and then they pushed it up. So this was the low for this week and month, and so there's all these people basically have stops right there, hoping that it's going to go up. They stopped them out with basically the shorts, and you can see it go up. So this is one of the plays I always try to tell you guys, right? Previous lows, previous highs. If it's based on a higher time frame, weekly or monthly, you're typically going to have stops there from that a lot of big time swing traders trade, and so they do get stopped out, and then they get back in and they get pissed off, and there's that one entire thing. But ultimately, that is kind of like what happens here.
No, then there's no emotion in any of this, Pedro. Not at all.
There's not supposed to be.
There's not supposed to be, right? But I can see a couple of people I've met over time who just get angry at, sports teams losing. That, there's just two. There's just them versus the other guys. Imagine when there's 50 million things you can trade, all with 1,000 billion different inputs into its price.
Yeah, absolutely. And that ability is it's kind of a simple, I always tell everybody, just pay attention to the trend.
There's the required barking.
Yeah, if the trend is down, right, pay attention to that. Whatever trending mechanism you use and your fine tuning of it, just study, become a student and trend. And put rules behind it that allow you to take advantage of that, because it doesn't matter really where you learn it. If you learn it, you can apply it anywhere you go in the world. So it's actually really cool. Okay. Wow, that's
I forgot to mention that to you.
Okay, so that means I need to speed this up. Okay. Japanese yen.
I apologize. It was sitting in my Telegram thing, and I thought I had hit enter 45 minutes ago, and I had not.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about crude oil here real quick. We're seeing crude oil kind of go up for the month so far. So that's a sign that we're probably going to come and test that 66 area here, and then to see it come back down here. You see there's really no wick for the month, or a very, very small wick. And so there you can see that they're putting in this seller wick like you saw right here, but they're doing it currently right now. So it's green to go up, to come down. So you got two options here. You got the first option, which is, again, this is the monthly chart. So you remember we were just talking about liquidity pools? Here's one right here. Here's a wall. Here is the wick. And so you can sit there and take that play there. Just basically pop it like it's hot right here. And for this, you can take this trade either on the blockchain, which is basically, here we go right here with PYTH, Stock Crypto Oracle. You can sit there and take that same trade that they're playing there. And that is different.
And Pedro, we've been wondering how to trade the NQ on a crypto account. You now can do that. The exchange BTCC is offering an NQ thing. You can't get it in the US and Canada, so you need to use a VPN.
Well, we're not saying that, right? Don't. I'm like,
I'm not telling you guys should subvert U.S. law, but actually, it's not illegal for you to use it. It's just illegal for them to advertise their services in the U.S. and operate in the U.S.
You can do whatever you want,
right?
But I'm just saying, follow the law. Now, but there are ways to trade that, but follow the law.
Right. It's not illegal. To be clear, it's not illegal for you to use their service. It's illegal for them to operate in the U.S. without a license. You can use whoever you want.
Yeah, there you go. And we just might bring something to the market ourselves one day. So I'm just saying, putting that out there.
Yes.
Putting that out there. But that would be for people outside of the United States.
I happen to be standing in Canada right now. Literally, I'm
right.
standing.
Oh yeah, so you could totally, yeah, you totally can. Can you do poly market in Canada?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. There's a couple of exchanges you can't use. You still can't use Binance.com, but they're on their way back here. But all the other ones like Mexi you can use. Most of the ones that aren't available in the U.S. you can use in Canada because the Canadians are like, they're fine.
Why? Like, dude, you would think, right? Like America. Why is the administration?
Because it was the days of Elizabeth Warren, and they don't have an Elizabeth Warren here.
Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth Warren.
Right. Bye-bye. Nice to know you. See ya, Miss Pocahontas. Oops, did my inner monologue come out?
All right, so listen, I literally have 10 minutes, so I gotta go. So
all right, let's hit it.
All right,
9 minutes.
So, dang it, you suck, dude. You should tell me. So here is an opportunity, guys. You can play this. That's 64.19. See if you can play that. So there's two positions here. You can take this trade here. We're coming up to right now, and then come on. So here are a couple right here, and then the next one. Come on. Is potentially right here as well. So and these are just liquidity pools that are getting ready to pop. You can take advantage of this. It's going to be nice, real nice potentially. Here we go. Sorry.
It's real nice.
Real nice. Real nice. So this is the monthly, and here is your weekly potential high here you can take. And these are going to be liquidity pools that they're going to come. They'll hit it. And then, like I've talked about, wait for the trend to kick in with the crossover, your 8 and 20, or whatever trading mechanism that you use for trending. Okay. And then from there, that's where you want to play. And so it'll be a nice little play there. Boom. Let's go into gold. Gold played off of our zone perfectly. Like, look, came off, boom, came down, went up, and now we're seeing it go up for the new month. I don't like this area here, though. The only reason why I don't like this area here is because there's not enough of a wick here for gold. So I do expect gold to come down. You've got a couple areas to play off of this. One being right here. Here again is a trending mechanism. That'd be that 34.48 area. And then so I would expect to see it kind of pop up here and then come back down for the month. Let's check out the weekly. Weekly here again is still strong. We still are seeing it push up. We are pushing up here, but we're seeing volume kind of come down, as you can see here over the past few weeks. So with that, again, I'm not expecting a lot of craziness happening this summer. You can see they're already getting out of their positions. They made a ton of money this year off of gold. It hit our 3,300 and got up to 3,500. It actually stayed kind of in that range there. So it's been pretty nice for our crew here who've taken those trades there. Again, I think we're going to come back down and kind of just stay within these levels here of that 3,100 to 35, this primary area. Put this in right here for our monthly zone. So this is really the area that I would expect us to kind of play in between over the summer here. Let's check out here. Copper looking the same. You can see here we're going up first. If you're looking to want to trade copper, again, same situation. You have a play right here, which is basically going to be the liquidity pool. I don't see it drop. Boom, come down. It kind of already looked like it did it already for the month. No, not fully. So typically it'll come up, come down, go up, and then come back down. So we'll see what's up. Here, so that is pretty much it. CNN, or not CNN. This is the yuan. The yuan is showing some strength, which means that we should see weakness come into the dollar here, which is what we talked about, coming back down into the 10 or the 99, 100 area, into that $97 area for the dollar. So it's similar. We're seeing strength kind of come into the yen, which is kind of what we want, honestly. And people are like, wait, no, that's bad. Oh, no, that's good because people want to come and do business here in America versus, let's say, China, or the great hamster. All right.
The great hamster.
All righty, here we go. Let's check out this here real quick. We're going to do this quick. NVIDIA basically has been pushing up. We expected this to come down. It did not. It is still strong as bull. So we potentially could be seeing NVIDIA get back up to that 153 area. If not, if this starts to clear that 153 area, then it's onward and upward. Check out Google. Actually, we'll do Pepsi. Pepsi is showing some real weakness here. And so I've been looking at this, and again, they aren't going to lose. They will pivot and they'll be smart and change the way they drew. They're going to just become healthier. I think they're going to become healthier and become a better company.
Well, I hope they become healthier by having healthier product.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, I think they will come out with get rid of a lot of the plastics, because one of the primary reasons why people are stopping off. Also play and get away from the aluminum, figure out ways to kind of put stuff back in glass, right? So I'm looking to see, and I'm paying attention to Pepsi here. So one of the things I want to point out is we've got a nice little area back here at that 110 area here. So I'm kind of
that was the money printer right there. Whew.
That was the money printer. That's exactly what that was. So I'm looking at this here and kind of just playing to see if we're going to come down there. This is that monthly and
I can't even remember the last time I had a Pepsi. I realize they own lots of brands and,
yeah,
energy drinks and like Coca-Cola, diversified, but just an actual Pepsi, I can't possibly even remember.
Same here. I mean, honestly. So I like this area of your 200 period moving average. They will pivot if they start to hemorrhage. This is the area that I'm looking at, 100, and potentially down to that 76 area. Okay, Google is showing again strength there. We're still kind of hanging out here though for the month. We've seen a good top off for the month. Previous month we topped that 8. We potentially could blow through this supply. I'm going to remove this here real quick. We bounce off these lows here. And honestly, if we get above that 8 period moving average, we are going to the peak of the 202, or excuse me, the 207 high here for Google. Amazon, similar situation. You're probably asking, Pedro, why are you going over these? Because these are the companies that control the NASDAQ.
That top 7 tech companies, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and then we're seeing Bitcoin and NASDAQ again start to correlate. So that's why it's important to understand these nuances so that you can see what's happening. If like some days you'll be like, why is Bitcoin going down? Because NVIDIA might be going down. And so in understanding those nuances is going to help you. Or Microsoft is going down. So it's just important to know what's going on. All right, so Amazon here. Again, it's starting to show some strength, but we are going up first thing in the month. I don't like that. I want to see it go down first. A lot of these were going up for the month. So again, this is all during the summertime. We could just basically peruse up throughout the summer with low volume. And it's kind of like what I'm expecting. Apple is going up. With the Apple, we've been playing off of the zone here, going up first. Again, I'm looking at it come back, test out 173, and then push up. And then after that, potentially see can it get back up to that 260 area. Tesla here, real quick. Tesla here. What time is it? Oh, I got 1 minute. Tesla basically bouncing off the. Yo, I've got a.
Oh, I thought I played that without feeding it to you. Sorry. Should be good.
All right, so Tesla is basically bouncing off the 8 period moving average, and it's looking like it potentially could be pushing back up to its all-time high of that 488. I was hoping we were going to see it come down, but you can see the volume here, even with everything that they went through over the last 3-4 months. Look at this. Like just the sell-off was good from where people just basically bought up and now just we were starting to see the tap.
Tweezer bottoms.
Tweezer bottoms, yep. So that's it in a nutshell. One last one, Meta. Meta is strong as bull. You can see it's starting to push up. It's already almost at the all-time high. You know, we're basically 80 points away from the high here. And I think they're going to see it go up. We're above the 8-period moving average. It should go up, come down to go up, right, is what I'm expecting. So that's basically something that's going to look like this on the weekly chart.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to keep Pedro from going on a long time about this. There's lots of things we can talk about on this day for sure. This could easily be a 4-hour show. Unfortunately, today it has to be a 1 hour and 45-minute show. Got a hard stop here right now, as a matter of fact. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching us today. Pedro, thanks for your research and your detailed analysis of what's going on in the markets and how it's going to affect your bags out there, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, next Tuesday, we'll have more on Technical Tuesday, but between now and then, you can count on us talking about any one of these things at some point by itself.
Also,
go ahead.
Have them go find us. Also, guys, please go log into our community that we have within the Telegram. Please interact with us. Love to have you guys. If you have any questions that you want me to kind of go over from a charting standpoint, again, I'm not an economist. I have no degree. This is simply over the years of me studying the charts and understanding when money comes in. Money flow is really what I look at.
The links to those are all down here in the bottom. If you're watching it on X, just go through to our profile, get to the DYOR website, and the links are there. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching us. As always, the man in the box next to me is Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst, doing a great job bringing the market and technical analysis to you and the overall indicators of how everything works together in this great wide world of economics. And my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, your host for the day. I do mostly listening on days like this, but be sure there'll be a lot more talking tomorrow, Wednesday, same time, same channel. Pedro, enjoy the rest of your bouncing day.
Yeah.
You can see, you can literally see it. Trying to get, I might need to get a stable cam for you. It stabilizes. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you tomorrow. Sorry, Mike Stir, it's over.